Welcome to this fourth video of this series called My Journey to God in a Secular World. We had finished off in the last video clip. I had just been ordained a priest in the Diocese of Perugia, Italy in August 31st, 1996. And then very quickly, that was in August, and then in January of 1997, I was given a pretty large parish, at least for here in Italy, of more than 4,000 people. And but I didn't have yet the Italian citizenship, but I was pastor in all effects except juridically, you might say. And then after that, I was there for 4 years, and then after that I was transferred when a priest died of cancer in a parish called Sant'Arcangelo on Lake Trasimeno. So I went there, became a pastor there for about 6 years. And then after that, after a few years, I was transferred to another parish that needed a pastor, new pastor, called Lisciano Nicone. I won't consecrate the details in the parish, but I want to more or less concentrate on some of the problems that we could learn from. In the middle of these different parishes, in the year 2005, a woman called me on the telephone and asked me to celebrate a mass for the Camino, the Neocatechumenum Way. They were having a 3-day get together and so on. And so I said yes, and I went there. There was a nearby hotel called Faina, and I went there, and it seemed pretty good. And so they were very lacking priests, so they asked me to continue with them. And so I began to help them weekly with a mass and also their confessions. They were based in a nearby parish of San Sisto, Perugia. And so I began to work with them and so on. And I assumed everything was approved, so I did what it was written to do and so on. Because I knew that that Pope Benedict had approved these statutes, but I also knew that Pope Benedict had a commission to study the Mass. And I thought that commission didn't finish its work until after Pope Benedict went away in 2013. So what happened was about the year 2015, 10 years later, after working with the help in the Neocatechumens and other communities, 10 years, in 2015, for the first time, I discovered that the commission that Pope Benedict had done to study the Mass of the Neocatechumenans had finished in 2005. And Pope Benedict, together with Cardinal Sarah, they had a document in December 1st, 2005, which basically said, look at, the Mass is the most precious thing we have on the face of the earth. There's nothing more precious. I mean, it's God in the Eucharist. And basically saying in a nice way, you can't play with the Mass the way you want. It's not our property. It's a gift from God. And so he basically said to the Neocatechumens that you have to obey the liturgical books, just as every other Catholic in the whole church. Every priest, bishop, you obey the liturgical books, because the liturgical books are to protect the Mass, so that it's said the way God wants it, not the way people would like to have it to satisfy their various motives. And so anyway, when I discovered that a month later, after that document, in January 2006, the founders of Neo-Catechumenism, Kiko, Father Mario, and Carmen, they wrote a letter signed, and they said, "Oh, thank you for your advice and everything, but in a nice way, we can't obey this thing about the Mass. We will continue the way we're doing it." I immediately, having studied the States and everything else, I immediately realized how grave this was. I mean, it's like saying that we know more than the popes, we know more than the church, and we say this is the way to do the Mass, and so we will not obey. I immediately understood the gravity of that, and I immediately left the Neo-Catechumenism. And I later discovered that Pope Benedict in 2012, in January 20th, was having a big meeting with the Neo-Catechumens at Rome, and so the Neo-Catechumens, with a lot of power in the Vatican, cardinals, bishops, and everything else, they prepared the approval of their Mass, and even a nice celebration afterwards because of the approval of the Mass. They prepared it, but they didn't say anything to Pope Benedict. It's totally arrogance. They command. They're in charge. They know more than God. They are above the church. But Pope Benedict, he found out 3 or 4 days before, 2 or 3 days before the meeting, and even though it seems like Benedict is a humble, gentle person, he's firm. He said, absolutely no. You have never obeyed the liturgical books to say the Mass the way you're supposed to. Absolutamente no. And so, in fact, also speaking about this power of the Neo-Catechumens, Bishop Athanasius Snyder even wrote an article, because he had quite a lot of experience with the Neo-Catechumens in his diocese. He wrote an article that the Neo-Catechumenan way was a Trojan horse in the Catholic Church. A Trojan horse in the Catholic Church. And he explained in that article also that for many years, they have had in the Vatican a lobby to manipulate the Vatican the way they want it. They know more than God. They know more than any pope, so you must do it the way we say. Without humility, there is no God. God is not present, even though you think you're more holy than everybody else. There's a tremendous arrogance in this group. They think they're better than everybody else. They know how, and they were better. Wow, it's a double-edged sword here, because God is only with the truly humble. The truly humble are seeking to discover what God wants, not what I want. Neo-Catechumens, absolutely not. They know more than anyone. So I left the Neo-Catechumens, and then as time went on, at the same time also in this period, I was helping out at a larger parish where I lived nearby called Magione. And so there was 2 masses each day there, and I celebrated the Mass in the morning. And so more and more, the priest, the pastor, during my Mass, he would put himself in the confessional and he would listen to my homilies. And if he's heard something he didn't like, after the Mass, we'd go to the bar and he would treat me pretty badly. This went on, and finally he got so strong that he threatened me. And I says, is this a serious threat, or is it not? He says it's serious. Then okay, I'm not here on assignment by the bishop. It's a free service, so I leave your parish. Very simply, I can explain this later a little bit more, but I was explaining the the gospel, the homily, according to the catechism of the Catholic Church. But for the pastor, as so many priests today in the modern church, the first priority is to make happy the people, not to try to discover what God wants or what's the best for them for their salvation, but to make sure they are happy. And so finally, I left, and that was in May of 2015. 2015. I will stop this video clip here, and we'll continue in the next video clip. May God bless you and Mary guide you.